Alright, so I told y'all after seeing the Superman movie that came out, was it June or July? I think it was June. Anyway, June or July. I told y'all after I did the review on that movie that I was going to do reviews on their animated movies, DC's I'm talking about. Because, yeah, there are some top tier DC movies. They're just animated. Don't get me wrong, DC has some great live action films, but in my opinion, outside of a couple like Dark Knight and a few other ones, DC animated animation universe, or how should you say it? DC animated movies beat the live action ones by a long mile. Like I said, there are a few live actions, but overall, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, like so on and so forth, they're top tier. Honestly, a friend of mine and I said the same thing. We asked the same question. We was like, why don't they take the people who make these animated movies and put them in their live action room or whatever when they talk about making a story? Because story wise, the action, the setup, and everything for the universe, they do a really good job. Even the solo movies like The Mask of the Phantasm, that to this day, if you haven't seen Batman Mask of the Phantasm, if you haven't seen that yet, please check it out. It is one of the best, not just animated movies, not just best Batman movies. It's one of the best superhero movies of all time. Story, voice acting, obviously, with Mark Hamill as Joker, Kevin Conroy as Batman, rest in peace. The score, the situations, it was a full movie. It was ahead of its time because I remember as a kid, it didn't get great reception. I always remember that. And then later down the line, it was appreciated. It's just people wasn't ready for that. So I said after seeing Superman, I was going to start doing reviews. And I did. I started with Assault on Arkham. Batman Assault on Arkham. Definitely check out my review there and check out the movie. But I break it down on that video there. But now I'm actually going to start this universe with the DCAU. The DCAU has 15. I'll put the picture here. But it starts with... I messed up. Because I started with this one. This one technically is chapter 1. But chapter 0, I guess you want to call it, is this movie here. Flashpoint. But once you see Flashpoint, you'll understand why I call that 0. And if you know the comics, you know why I call that 0. And this is chapter 1 of this universe. So after I do this review here with this, I'm going to go back to Flashpoint. But this is chapter 1. I'm starting with this. I saw it with my father, by the way, which was really cool. Because my dad did not see this movie. I thought he did. And so we watched it, and he really enjoyed it. He did not know there was a universe like this. And this whole time, I thought I told him about it. I was like, oh, you are missing out. And so we watched it, and he thoroughly loved it. So that was a good moment. But anyway, now that I am basically rewatching this, because after seeing Superman, I was like, it's about time to rewatch some old stuff that I have. And I have the collection of can you see? Wait, yeah. You can't really see the names, but I got the collection of this universe and the Tomorrowverse. But that I already talked about that in another video. But this universe, first off, this is probably one of DC's best projects. Not just this movie, but this whole universe. All 15 movies, from beginning to end, they did a great job, and I hope they go back to this style of movie telling. And I know they trying to get their live action up the page, with James Gunn's movies and all that stuff. But I hope they don't stop doing these. And even when they did, I think it was called the Tomorrowverse, the universe after this one. Even after that, I hope they go back to this one because this was perfect. Animation, action, voice acting, story. And obviously, if you read the comics, you know the story, but they do change some things. But it was near perfect. The whole thing. And that's why I'm excited to actually go through this whole universe and talk about it. But now, Justice League War. 9 out of 10, y'all. 9 out of 10. This is how you start a new universe, in my opinion. This is how you do it. This movie is, from beginning to end, amazing. It was actually better watching it the second... Well, I watched it multiple times, but I haven't watched it in so long that going back to it, it was better than how I remembered it. And I loved it then. But, bro, the introduction of the Justice League. So, quick story on what's the movie about without spoiling it. Darkseid is invading Earth. The story is pretty simple. Darkseid's sending his minions to come to Earth to get ready for his arrival. And the Justice League are still new to the Earth. So they don't know each other like that. Flash and Green Lantern know each other, but overall, Batman, Superman, all of them, they don't know each other to have a relationship like how we know it as the Justice League. So this is their first meetup, and it's all because of this invasion with Darkseid. It brings them together. And so they're basically preparing for the invasion. Simple as that. To be real, as simple as the story is, the execution was done very well. First off, shout out to the voice actors. I think everybody's voice actor did a great job. I'm always on the fence with Batman. I've always been that way since Kevin Conroy, because Kevin Conroy is my favorite. And so I do my best not comparing anybody to Kevin Conroy. I'm like, okay, get Kevin Conroy out your head, respectfully. How is he as Batman? And I believe the actor for him did a good job, great job. Nobody's going to beat Kevin Conroy, but I don't have to compare it every time. One thing that I do love about this movie is that it shuts up all the people who criticizes having so many characters in one movie. I never understood that complaint. It's like, you can't have so many characters in a movie. It's not much you can do. It's you only have a certain amount of time. No, I actually disagree. Yes, there are movies where, like I'll say for that James Gunn Superman, I don't think the Justice gang should have been there. Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, as cool as Lantern and Mr. Terrific was, it should have waited. I think this Superman should have stayed on his own. But I'm not against having more characters in one movie. Because as long as the story is done right and it's not overstuffed to where the plot is all over the place, it can happen. I mean, Avengers showed that. Yes, some of them had their own movie, but not all of them. When you watch Civil War, Spider-Man and Black Panther, and I think I'm missing one. Spider-Man, well, those two versions, Spider-Man and Black Panther did not have their own movie yet. And they was already in what people call stuffed Captain America movie with Iron Man, Falcon, all these other guys. And it was done well. I always say it's about how you execute it. This movie, and only in an hour and a half? This movie is an hour and 25 minutes. In an hour and 25 minutes, they was able to have Batman, Shazam, Superman, Flash, Lantern, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman fit. And it didn't feel overstuffed. I say it all the time. It's just about how you do it. Each one had their shine. I loved it. Where it came from, the first meetings was Batman and Lantern, how they met, which then led to Superman, which that is, to me, one of the best, if not the best, introduction to Superman. I said this before in a video. This is how I like Superman. That intro where Lantern and Batman was investigating Superman, because like I said, they didn't really know him. The intro of Superman there is exactly how you do it. And I knew some people was complaining. It was like Superman being a bully. No. That means you didn't watch the movie. No. Lantern was being aggressive, and so Superman was just answering. He's just much stronger, so it looks like he's bullying. But no, it all started because Lantern trying to be Mr. Big Guy, in which I think they did Lantern good as the cocky hero. And him being humbled because he was cocky against Superman and Darkseid and had no advantages. Superman embarrassing him, Darkseid embarrassing him. But still, the character development of Lantern with his relationship with Batman was done well. But anyway, Superman's intro in this movie was done beautifully. I watched that scene, and I love it because they have it on YouTube. They have that scene up, and I watched that repeatedly, bro. I love the intro of that. They show the strength of Superman. He's not treated like, he's Mark from Invincible getting beat down all day. And I know people are saying they want Superman to be more human-like. He's Superman. I ain't trying to see Superman get beat down so much. Not a little bit. That's nothing wrong like how the animated series does. But there's a lot of moments where they show the animated series. I'll use that example when he met Batman. You remember when Superman and Batman first met in the animated series, the World Finest movie, and Superman was to grab Batman's arm, touch Batman's arm and said, "That's enough." And Batman's my favorite superhero, but even then I was like, what was he thinking? Batman grabs Superman and throws him across the a room, and Superman falls on the table. The look Superman gave him, and this is what I'm talking about. Yes, Superman can get pushed, sometimes be a little bit, but you gotta have the moments where Superman is like, don't get it twisted. And you need to have more of that than Superman getting beat down. That was another fault I had with the Superman movie, was it was more of him getting than him showing you what's up. I think we need, if you're going to show Superman get beat down, you need to have it be lower than him actually showing him being super. And I loved it when he threw Superman and Batman being all confident, and he basically turns his back against Superman. Superman looked at him like, are you out of, and then he did the speed push and knocked Batman to the wall. And we all know, as much as I love Batman, if Superman went full force, Batman wouldn't have a body. But he just had to check him. That was a check hit. Look it up. It was a scene where Superman just looks at him and then like speed hits Batman into the wall. And Superman had one of the coldest lines in the animated series. I never forget, as a kid, like that was cold. He told Batman, "I heard you were crazy. I didn't think you were stupid." Like, I love that line. And that's what this movie brought a lot of. It brought a lot of, okay, don't let your powers get to your head. Now, that was something I was really hoping that Superman movie he did to Guy Gardner. Remember Guy Gardner was like pushing up on Superman, up in his face? I wish Superman just, because somebody asked me what could Superman, because I made a complaint about that a while ago, that I hated how Guy Gardner punked Superman. And somebody was like, well, what do you expect Superman to do if it doesn't kill him? Use your super speed and take his ring. And that's what this movie did. And not even Superman did it. Batman did. When Lantern was getting smart, Batman took his ring and made basically Lantern useless. And that's without super speed. So what do you think Superman would have done? And that's what I'm saying. Superman needs to have that. To like, okay, don't forget. And this movie does it well. He lets Lantern know. And Batman had to use his brain to stop Superman because, yeah, he was teaching them what for. But anyway, their meetup was beautiful. I have to be real, this is my favorite Wonder Woman and Shazam. I'll get to Wonder Woman first. I hope James Gunn goes to this direction of Wonder Woman. I just like this one version. I like this version of Wonder Woman better than anyone I've ever seen. The animated series, the Justice League. Man, that's tough. I'll put up neck to neck. The animated series of the Justice League animated series and this movie's Wonder Woman is like the near perfect one. And I hope James Gunn takes that because I love Wonder Woman is my fourth favorite superhero of all time. That's another conversation. But anyway, she's the favorite female hero of all time. And I always, whenever I see her in a project, I'm like, please do her justice. And they definitely did. Her choreography, her boldness against Darkseid. I love the battle she had with Darkseid. Her talking trash. She had a moment where she stabbed Darkseid in the eye. And Darkseid pushed her back. And he sit there like this. And he looks up at her with his eye bleeding. And Wonder Woman sits there and just smiles at him like, yeah, what you gonna do? I love the attitude Wonder Woman had. I think she was well done. And her ignorance to how the world works, just swinging her sword there when she's talking to the civilians and stuff. I like that. This was for all these superheroes. This was their beginning stages of being a hero, outside of Batman and like Lantern, and Flash. But the way they introduced them and showed their ignorance to certain things was cool. Even Superman, he wasn't Superman for a long time. You can tell there was some moments where it was like, if he was more mature, he wouldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? But I love that. Because I know some people was complaining. They was like, I don't like how he just goes through buildings and stuff. And to be real with you, I am so tired of that complaint with people where they're like, superheroes don't destroy buildings. People are in there. First off, whenever they see it like in this movie where Superman was basically beating Lantern and Batman, he was going through buildings. Nobody got hit. Nobody got destroyed. Was he a little careless? Yes, but he was fresh. It was like how people complained about Man of Steel. He was ore farming instead of saving people. He was Superman for 2 days. James Gunn Superman wouldn't do that. He was Superman for 3 years. It's the difference. Superman for 2 days. And imagine, here's the thing too. Imagine you're Superman and you in day 2, you're still trying to figure things out. And your enemies are 3 Kryptonians. 3 people that are stronger or stronger, that are as strong or stronger than you. you got to focus on everything: how to save people, how to fight, how to take the. And you saw him, Man of Steel. He was trying to take the fight somewhere else away from the crowd, but he couldn't do everything. And that's something I wish people stop complaining. With the buildings, they're facing enemies that are there to destroy the world. They can't focus on everything. Well, so James Gunn Superman saved a squirrel. Okay. And so he saved one squirrel. You really think he saved everybody? I don't think so. To be real, as cool as this scene was in James Gunn Superman, when he did the laser spin and they showed a few people drop, I was like, it's hard for me to believe everybody dropped and lived. You tell me everybody dropped on their back, nobody dropped on their head or nothing? But that's a conversation for another day. This was the beginning stages. They're learning. Like I said, when you get more mature, you find out different ins and outs to how to do things with less collateral, with less damage to the city and to the people. But when you're in this situation, Darkseid is attacking you. Some things are going to be destroyed, and you hope the best that it doesn't happen to anybody. You hope the best. You ain't trying to kill this person, but if something happens though, it's unfortunate. So anyway, sorry, but Shazam I wanted to talk about. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I never shared this before, but I'm gonna say it here. I never cared for the Shazam movies, the live action ones. I did not like their plot. I did not like how it was set up. I didn't like the actor. Not him personally. I don't like the casting choice for Shazam. Personally, this is a thing for me. I think the next time if they ever do a Shazam live action, which I hope they do it this way. Here's the thing. I said to myself when I finished that movie, he was less jokey joke. And I realized after saying that, the only reason he was because the movie wasn't based solely on him. So I was like, so maybe he doesn't need a solo movie where it's just him. He needs a movie like how that one with him is Superman versus Black Adam or stuff like that. If he has a movie, he has to have with other people, so his goofy SNL dialogue can be toned down a little bit. That was the one thing with the Shazam movies. For him being a solo hero in there, it was so much like trying to make people laugh. It got a little old. It was like, okay, that was funny, but you just overdoing it. You're overdoing it. And I think maybe that's why this one I liked more. Because he had more serious roles. Like, there was a moment where Shazam, and I love this about Wonder Woman, there was a moment where Shazam was not listening and being childish and almost did get the Justice League in trouble. And once they got knocked to the floor and Lantern's like, could you stop that idiot? And flies away. Wonder Woman got hit and Shazam was right behind her. She was like, bam, turned around and knocked him to the floor and taught him to grow up. I like that. And, if you know this universe, Shazam, he does. And that, I won't spoil it. If you know why I'm a little palsy on that. But let's just say the development, Shazam. But I love the fact that he was with the Justice League. And I think if they ever bring him back live action, let him come with more heroes. So the dialogue of him being goofy is toned down. And there's more adults trying to tell him, okay, grow up. Like how Wonder Woman did. So, because I understand he's a kid, but I think the whole kiddie, jokey joke can be overdone. And that was the one thing with the Shazam movies. I think they overdid it. And I like it here. And plus, his character, his art, the way he was made, like animation-wise, was beautiful as well. And I love they showcase more of his powers on here. I love that. To him, just regular punching, but lightning's coming out. Like, I love that. Electricity's coming out, whatever. His other stuff, like the parademons was surrounding the city, and he was holding this lightning ball and attracting them and destroying all of them. I love stuff like that. I hope we get more of this kind of Shazam in whatever James Gunn got planned for the DCU. And y'all know my favorite hero, Batman. Favorite of all time. Like I said, he was done very well. Love Batman. There are some moments where he has plot armor, but a lot of plot armor. But let's be real here, y'all. These are superheroes that are not real. Everybody got plot armor. That's why when Justice League Apocalyptic War came out, that movie showed you what no plot armor looks like. Cyborg, I love how they involved his backstory. Well, not even a backstory, but showcased. While every other superhero they was already it. Even Shazam was already, he was a kid, but he was already Shazam. Cyborg was the only one that had to start from the ground up in this movie. And they did it well. They didn't drag it. The movie's only an hour and 28 minutes. That's what I was saying. With all these characters, they still gave everybody their due, and it worked. Where they could show all these heroes and the birth of Cyborg, and it doesn't feel overstuffed or they overdid or nothing like that. And I love the fact they got right to it because this movie really starts off with the invasion of Darkseid. And personally, I'm cool with that being live action. This movie showed that, you know what, people give Zack Snyder too much, and I'm not a Zack Snyder cultist, but one thing seeing these movies have shown me is that people give Zack Snyder too much flack for introducing the Justice League, they say, too early. Or like Batman v Superman was too... No, it was not. Now, was some things could have been executed better? Yes. But to say like he should have delayed it a little bit, he was rushing it, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was doing it like this. You know, let them start off, and then later they have their own projects. Because when I saw this, I'm like, you know what? Because as much as I enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League, I remember being that way at the beginning. I was like, can we get Batman's own movie first, or Wonder Woman's own movie first before we start But no. And to be real, as much as I enjoyed it, I never remembered that I said that. But seeing this, I remember it. I'm like, you know what? My bad, Zack. Because there's nothing wrong with introducing all the heroes at one time, and this movie proves it. I think they did a great job. The battle sequences against Darkseid was beautiful, bro. There's a sequence where all the heroes get their shine. And Wonder Woman, Shazam, Cyborg, and Lantern are blitzing Darkseid. It was so cool. It was underground, and it went up into the city. And with the lead of Wonder Woman, which I loved her choreography, it worked so well. Every hero had their shine. That was another thing I love about this movie. There was in any of the action scenes, Superman didn't overshadow Batman. Batman didn't overshadow Superman. Nobody overshadowed anybody. Everybody had their moment. And it worked. Justice League War, if you didn't see it, even if you did see it, watch it again. It worked from beginning to end. It was not a moment where I was like, I wish I got more of this. Or I wish I got less of this. Nah. It worked. And to Darkseid, because I said he battled Darkseid. I remember when I first watched it, I hated the fact of how big he was. And I know, like, comic-wise, they was being accurate. But because, personally, my favorite Darkseid is the Superman animated series. And, like, the Justice League Unlimited. So when I first saw this, I was like, dang, they made him like a huge giant. I don't know how I feel about it. I actually liked it this time, again, watching it over. His big, dominant stature, but always being cool with his hands behind his back. I love the sound of his Omega beams. There's a moment, though, that had me laughing. There's a little spoiler. So the Justice League damages Darkseid's eyes, so he can't see for a little bit. And, they was like, I remember Flash was like, did we get him? And Shazam's like, yeah, I think we got him. And then later it cuts into a scene where Darkseid is using his ears to hear Flash and is doing this, like trying to get him on the ground. You have to see it for yourself. And Flash is running. I laughed so hard because I can hear it in my head. I'm like, Flash is probably like, somebody stop him. Because Darkseid kept getting closer and closer to Flash. I mean, personally, I don't think Flash went as fast as, but still, just how that scene happened for like 5 seconds. You see Darkseid crawled on the floor to get Flash. I don't know why that scene makes me laugh every time. I was like, Flash is moving, bro. He's like, get somebody, help me get this guy. But no, Darkseid, the Parademons, for their first invasion to Earth, this was done very well. And mind you, I said first invasion. These are 15 movies, trust me. This universe gets really, how should I say it? It gets dark real quick, in a good way. Let's just say, as great as this battle was with the Justice League, they got a huge journey ahead of them. And that's why I look forward to going through each of these movies, because all these movies here lead up to that last one. This is a fun journey. That's why me doing these reviews is going to be fun. I'm taking my time just talking about it. Me doing this is like I'm talking to friends. And share your thoughts in the comments how you feel about these movies. But yeah, this leads up to something amazing. And like I said, I love how, as powerful as Superman was too, he was still learning. Like even with like his conversations with the heroes and him following Batman, not really like Superman came from showcase how tough he is to Lantern and Batman to actually following them because he wants to learn what's going on. He's like, Metropolis is my turf. What y'all doing here? But he was always like, you could tell he was figuring things out for himself. And one, being amazed of seeing other heroes around, because you could tell in this movie he hasn't experienced other heroes. But as on top of it, him learning from them. That was one thing I did catch. You would really have to catch it because the movie doesn't tell you. You see it for you, like they do with animation, just how Superman listens to Batman talk or Wonder Woman or Lantern. And you said the camera has it on Superman for a second. I love when they do that. Even stuff like little nuggets where the Justice League are like, "Are we a team?" And Lantern's like, "We ain't no team. Like I watch over the galaxy. Who can go to space?" Superman's like, "I can." I like those little things. But yeah, this was a good build up to the future of the Justice League. And now the second one is Batman and Robin. This one, and I'm looking forward to watching that. But yeah, this was a great come up of the Justice League, the Super Friends, however you want to call them. And I wish, and these are movies that I wish was live action. To be real, and a guy said he's big on TikTok. He was like, "Yo, I don't know why these movies have so many issues making a good plot and a good story for these heroes." He said, "Look at the Batman animated series, look at the Superman animated series, look at the Justice League animated series, look at these movies, The Mask and the Phantasm, all of them. Just do that." People, what's funny, and this is interesting because I used to be one that complained about Disney with these remakes. But one thing that I noticed was it works. Why is Lilo and Stitch the movie of 2025 that made the most money? People were saying that it was announced that when Superman came out that it was supposed they was aiming for $1 billion, and they think it got to not even 600 million, something like that. But Lilo and Stitch got over $1 billion. These remakes work. So if they want to I think DC and Marvel just need to start, especially DC, because I think DC it's not even close, got a better animated catalog than Marvel. But I think DC just need to start remaking these animated ones. Comics, TV shows, animated movies. Because I think Disney has a formula, bro. As much as people complain, that just shows you that social media ain't all real. Because as much as people complain about Lilo and Stitch, it is the highest, if I got this correct, the highest grossing movie this year. Over $1 billion, while Superman can't even. I think they said they just Variety, I think it was, that said he got 587 million. People will say it higher, but after the cost of advertisement, it went down to 587 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's the way to go, because I agree with what that guy said on TikTok. He says, "Look at these movies, these TV shows, just do that, and we'll go watch it." And if people want to say that's not true, that won't work, look at Disney. Disney ain't hearing y'all about these remakes. Because you see this money? Lilo and Stitch. It's a popular Disney. Like when I was a kid, Lilo and Stitch was pretty popular. I didn't think it was that popular though. Where at live action, 15-something years later, it's making over $1 billion. While everything else, Fantastic Four, Superman, Captain America, so on and so forth, barely. Some are barely. I think it was only Superman and Fantastic Four, right? Barely got over 500 million. I don't know. I ain't in the studios and stuff, but if I was, I'd be like, "Yo, maybe we should just, hey, James Gunn, let's just make this. Let's call it, what should we call it?" It's like, do that. Because where's the Superman animated series? Let's do that. Remember that Dark Side Invasion, which that was, to this day, that's one of the greatest stories, stories in TV show history. When the Dark Side came about, bro, that heartfelt moment with the cop, oh man, Dan, that emotional moment Superman had, that one still hurts to this day. But take something from that, the Batman animated, I'm shocked we haven't had a live action Mask of the Phantasm. And to be real, I think the live action should just do exactly what that movie just did. Just get the actors, get the right budget so it looks good, but because you see Disney is working. Obviously, making your own script and stuff like James Gunn and stuff don't work. Fantastic Four don't, I could be wrong. This is just me spitting just from looking at it with my own eyes. I'll never forget when Lilo and Stitch was first announced. Everybody was dogging that movie. You see on YouTube. Nobody was caring about that. Another remake. Over $1 billion. And I think Minecraft's the only one that may be beating it. And I think just because of popularity it made it. I didn't see the Minecraft movie, but I think it's over popularity. It made so much money. But Superman's popular. Why didn't that get $1 billion? But Minecraft does. But a remake of Lilo and Stitch does. I don't know. I'm just saying. But anyway, 9 out of 10 for this movie. Go check it out if you haven't. The next one is, well, I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go back to the Flashpoint because I missed that one. That's technically 0, but still it's part of the beginning. That's part of the universe. That's how this universe starts. Yeah, this, I'm actually want to watch it again. I love everything about it. Yeah, it wasn't slow, wasn't fast. It wasn't sloppy. It was organized. The comedic moments worked. The little bit it had, it didn't feel like no SNL skit like the Superman movie did. It didn't overdo stuff. The action was really good. Superman was really good. This is one of my favorite Superman. And then in this universe, he gets better and better. Yeah. This was a really good movie. 9 out of 10. Let me know what you think. I'll see you later. Let me know what you think also what I was saying about the remake stuff. Because I'm really interested in seeing what y'all think. Because I actually agree with that guy. Because it wasn't me that started saying it. It was that guy on TikTok. I can't remember his name. I just happened to pass by it. But he was like, take that, do that, and watch you make a lot of money. And he might be right. Because Disney is like the formula of that. I could be wrong. Let me know what you think. Anyway, see y'all later.